me, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
I'm having one fun with Monty Nefero, and I'm going to put him in the crossface again, and he's going to go down right now. Yeah.
How often do women just want to have sex with you so they could say they had sex with Macho Man Randy Savage?
What? Not often enough.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast. Monty Nefaro, seen only here out of Indie Music TV in Long Island, New York. We are here with pro wrestling superstars, the Mega Powers.
Hey, well, here's the deal, man. I've just been working on my tan a lot. Yeah, hitting the gym and working on the tan, man. That's about it. So I'll be ready to roll once everything is good to go. Yeah.
Me, let me tell you, I'm at the pool. I'm on the golf course. I'm getting pretty. I'm getting my tan, being blonde and beautiful once again, baby. Because me and the Motch, Mega Powers 2.0, you never know when you're going to see us somewhere tearing up the stratosphere one more time.
Hey, Mike, I think they're holding up pretty well during COVID. They're both at the pool getting tan and probably,
You ain't kidding.
Hey, they're doing more than fine. Guys, why don't we take it one at a time, of course. Tell us how you guys got your gimmicks going. Macho, take it away first, please.
All right. Well, it all started a long time ago. Actually, I've been a Macho Man fan probably since he first arrived on the scene, and somehow I've been able to do this with my voice even at like 11 years old. I don't know how, but even before I hit puberty and before my actual voice got deep, I was able to do this, and but I do a lot of other impressions, so it kind of comes natural. And it wasn't until a little bit more recent that somebody said to me, "Man, you're so good at that. Why aren't you like using that to try to make money? You know, why aren't you an actual Macho Man impersonator?" And I thought about it. And I went, "That's a really good question. Why am I not using it?" And that's basically that's how I got started with it, man. I was just like, I could do it for fun, or I could take it serious and try to make some money, and that's exactly what happened, man. I just, I put myself out there. Next thing you know, people were actually wanting to pay me. I do weddings, I do parties, I do appearances, I do it all, man. I've actually married couples before because I got ordained.
It's uncanny. I feel like we're actually talking to Randy.
He looks like him, too.
This is
I can't believe how jacked up you are, Motch.
Absolutely insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Back to that ordained thing. Did you get ordained because of religious preferences, or did you do it as, hey, look, this would be a great gimmick to marry people as Macho Man?
I did it straight for the Macho Man thing. I never even thought about it before, man. But I thought, okay, what can I do with this Motch thing? And I started just thinking of, weddings, bachelorette parties, birthday party, everything, man. I could do everything from like, a kid's party all the way to, like a crazy bachelorette party where, Motch takes off some of his Motch attire. I haven't done that, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't for the right audience, yeah.
Mr. Hogan, how do we become Randy Hogan?
Well, let me tell you, brother. I came up a different way as a wrestler. I wrestled, did the independent thing, and then this guy named Hulk Hogan started coming up the ladder. And he had a mustache like mine, had hair, blonde hair, muscled up at the time. So I'm wrestling this little bar up in some little place in northern Georgia. And the promoter, who paid me with a handshake and a hot dog, and that's a true story, said, you look like that Hulk Hogan, so we're going to call you Hal Hogan. And I said, well, I don't know. What's this Hal Hogan? How about Randy? Whatever you want. I said, okay, you're going to be Randy Hogan, and you're going to be his brother or his uncle or his nephew. I said, okay, whatever. So I went home. I bleached my mustache blonde. I bleached my hair blonde. I bleached my eyebrows blonde. Had a dark tan. Was in good shape, and it just took off from there. And then the little indies started doing the Hogan, and then I got in NWA with Jim Crockett, and then Ted Turner bought it to WCW, and I started doing it there, and I'm still doing it.
Do you feel that sometimes the gimmick is taking away from like with you, Randy? Obviously, you're more retired, but with both of you, do you think using that type of gimmick might have taken away from the potential of going somewhere else?
I didn't start doing the Motch thing until after my wrestling was done. I mean, I was always able to do the impression, but I never brought it into my actual wrestling. My wrestling name was Vic Divine. It was a completely different gimmick. I had a shaved head. I was real jacked.
Oh yeah.
So I never really put those two together, man, because I didn't want to be one of those, he's a savage wannabe or whatever. I was taking wrestling really serious. Years went by and injuries happened, and so now I'm not wrestling anymore. And I figured that was kind of like how I made the decision too, because I'm saying, like, man, kind of lost now. What else am I really good at? What can I do? I want to do something I enjoy, and I want to do something that I'm really good at. And then when somebody put that idea in my head to do this, kind of like for a living, I said, you know what? That's it, man. I know I'm better than anybody else in the world at that. So now that I can't wrestle, I can pretend to be one.
Mr. Hogan, did you feel pigeonholed at all by your gimmick, or did you see it more as, look, a blessing, because that's how we all know you today? Did you feel any kind of pigeonhole with the gimmick?
Yes and no. When I got up to the independent circuit, it was a plus. Everybody wanted to see Hulk's brother or cousin or whatever it was, okay? I didn't do the Hulk gimmick. I didn't have Randomania shirts and glasses and all this. I always had the hair, but I dressed in turquoise, had a black old school full-length robe sequined and everything. Still went by Randy Hogan, and that got me through the independent things. I got to WCW, and this is just before the Monday Night Wars were going on. And, of course, at this time, Hulk Hogan was a big thing. And I believe that WCW wanted to show superiority over Hogan. So I was one of the few enhancement or jobbers or whatever you want to call us that never had to change his name. I was Randy Hogan right then. What they did is they would have me get my brains beat out by guys like the Road Warriors and Abdullah and Sting and a bunch of other ones on a regular basis to show superiority. Like, this is what we do to Hogan's down here. So it was a blessing to get me on TV. But of course, that's as far as I could ever get with WCW or NWA. And I think maybe that was because of the gimmick. I was kind of pigeonholed where they wanted me to be, where I was the best for them. And, it was one of those pin me, pay me type situations.
Can you tell us what the business meant to Randy Hogan?
Well, it goes back to when I was a young boy, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. My grandparents taking me to the matches. That's how I got hooked on it. I was from Detroit, and we go to Olympia and then Cobo Hall, and I'd see people like Bobo. I'm really old. In fact, Mox, let me tell you, I'm so old, I wrestled with Angelo Poffo.
That's
Wow.
Yes, I wrestled with him. Uh-huh. So, I'd see the Sheik and Bobo Brazil and Werble Snyder, and as a young kid, the original Gorgeous George.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Pat O'Connor, Lou Thez. So anyways, I grew up as a fan, and as I told you before, to this very day, I'm still a fan. But one of the highlights was we used to go to every show for years, my grandparents and I. And when I got to be about 16 or 17 years old, and I got my driver's license and had a car, one of my proudest moments was I got to go down to Cobo Hall and I got to buy the tickets and say, Grandma and Gramps, we're going to wrestling this week.
Nice.
You know, after them doing it all those years, very emotional. So the first time I stepped in a ring, a real live ring, to train, I got tears in my eyes because I could just feel my grandparents, you know, and of course they were long gone in that, and it was just very emotional. So I keep going back to that all the time, of what it meant to my grandparents and how they instilled the fun and the action of the sport. And of course, they believed every last thing was, you know, this guy's going to get it. We're going to go see Dick the Bruiser, and he's going to wrestle the Sheik, and boy, it's going to be a bloodbath. And it was just so exciting for me as a kid, and I grew up that. And now that I'm old, and
Older.
luckily things have turned, well, yeah.
Older, not old.
In all honesty, this Thursday, brother, I'm going to be 70 years old.
Congratulations,
70.
Randy.
This
That is
Thursday.
friggin'
That's
awesome.
old.
Awesome.
I'm still
awesome.
pretty, though. Anyways,
There you go.
you know, going to these conventions and that, I see these little kids coming up once in a while, and it puts me right back. Those little kids looking at me or looking at some of the superstars I'm surrounded by, and I'm watching the looks on these kids' face, and it's the same as me. So that emotional involvement started probably 65 years ago and carries right on to today. And I see these little kids. I did a convention a couple months ago up in Rome, Georgia, and it wasn't the ones up north are really first class. This was a rural town, Rome, Georgia, working class people coming in, and the little kids, and I think it was maybe $10 admission, whatever. Little kids coming up say, "Could you autograph my arm?" Now, yeah, I'm going to charge $20 to autograph a little kid's arm. No, I'm seeing myself, you know, standing by the aisle, watching the wrestlers come in, trying to get an autograph once in a while. So, man, I signed more arms than I did pictures in that. Wonderful experience. But that's the emotional tie that I have, and I still feel for these fans, young and old.
Motch, if you had a chance, God let you to say a couple of words to Randy Savage, what would you say to him?
I guess I would just say thank you, man. Thank you, and I'd probably just want to pick his brain is what I'd want to do, and find out how I could be even better. You know what I mean?
Did you ever get to see Savage wrestle in person? Did you ever get, you know, to at least, you know, come across him live at an event or something?
Yeah, I remember 1987, Madison Square Garden. It was my first time ever to the Garden, and my cousin took me for my what was it, my 13th birthday or something like that. And the main event was Honky Tonk Man versus Macho Man.
Ooh.
And Jimmy Hart was going to be suspended in a shark cage. He was going to be suspended above the ring.
Okay.
And when I saw that match, man, I ran down from my seat, I remember, and I ran from my seat down to the barricade to take a picture of Macho Man and Elizabeth walking up the ring steps.
Nice.
I have that picture, but I took a screenshot because it was televised on MSG Network. I took a screenshot of the TV, and you could see me taking that picture. You see me standing up on a chair. You see 13-year-old me standing on a chair with one of them old school, those cameras, you know, that you wind the... Now I'm sounding ancient. But,
Why do you guys think that there is no longer these fantastic characters such as Macho Man, such as Hulk Hogan? What's going on with the business today that there doesn't seem to be another great larger-than-life star that even the non-wrestling fan seems to know who it is? Because it's certainly not Orange Cassidy from AEW. I'll tell you that, right, Mike?
That's for sure.
What do you think's going on with wrestling today? Randy, why don't you take it first? And I know you love the business very much, and you probably still watch a few companies, from what I understand about you. But what do you think is missing in this business that we don't have a Macho or a Hulkster?
Well, you hit it. We don't have a Macho or a Hulkster. You know, my wife, she's never been a fan. We've been married 10 years now, and her only involvement in wrestling has been through me. So she'll watch it on TV, but not really a fan. But she said, you know, what happened to some of the characters? Like you mentioned, Hogan, Macho. Now here's like a mid card type fan, okay, that's asking the same questions that we are. What happened?
Right.
I heard, and I'm not sure it's true, but it makes sense that Vince McMahon, since all of his stars started jumping ship, you know, when they were going back and forth, WCW and stuff, whether it be Bret Hart or Hogan and Macho, the whole bunch of them, he said, no longer am I going to put my company wrapped around one star.
Right.
Because, you know, Hogan was the star, and Bruno Sammartino was that star, and Ric Flair one time was that star.
Austin.
He's going to build the company rather than the individuals. So I think the emphasis has gone away from building those superstar standout characters. I don't know why, because that went the wayside, I think, with the old school storylines and stuff, when there was long going feuds and that. You know, there's not going to be another Undertaker or a Hogan or guys like this. I don't know what's going on with the Fiend. Now I thought, now there's a character. There's something to get built, you know, kind of like Kevin Sullivan when he started switching over to doing the Lucifer thing and the chewing the beetle nut with the Buddha Dean on the 7th floor of the temple or whatever that. Those were characters that drew people. Now everything's cookie cutter. The matches are all cookie cutter. There's just no individuality. So there are no superstars. Now even the little guys are making, you know, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year now. Unheard of back then. But as far as the main superstars on the horizon, I don't see any of them. I see them just chewing them up and spitting them out. That's what they do. Look what they started to do at one time with Ricochet, okay, little guy. Like what they did with Rey Mysterio. Another little guy, they built him up. He beat the Giant, he had the title and everything else, and now they're doing absolutely nothing. On and on. Sheamus the same way. He's almost being a character now, and he was a heavyweight champion. So they just give him a little shot, and for whatever the reason, they spit him out. And now, of course, Roman Reigns is the big thing, and we'll see what happens there.
Motch, how about you, Macho? How about a guy like, you know, Kevin Owens, who my partner all the time says he looks like my mailman? Now, I love Kevin Owens, but what do you think might be missing in today's product to bring back the charismatic, over-the-top household names that we had, such as Macho and Hulkster?
Well, you hit the nail right on the head the minute you mentioned Kevin Owens, man. That is one guy that I don't even know where to begin, man. It's very frustrating to see a guy that's out of shape with a farmer's tan. He buys his wrestling gear at Walmart. He's wearing gym shorts and a T-shirt.
He's killing him.
He looks like seriously, he would look. Okay, you put him in an airport. You put him out, and then he looks like he belongs in the 10th row rather than in the ring. Okay? There's a reason why they used to be called, or they still are for whatever reason, but they were superstars. Okay? You could call somebody a superstar that looks like The Undertaker. You know what I mean? Triple H. I mean, they had it, whether it was the size, and I just think that they don't make guys that big anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't see guys that are like 7 feet tall anywhere. It's almost like, they're out of production. I don't know, man, what happened to the human.
There's a shortage on monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you have one, every once in a while you got a Braun Strowman.
Right.
Every once in a while you have a big cast, and I know that there was issues or whatever like that, but when you got a guy that's 7 feet tall, you make him a big star, and because those are they're rare now, man. Really rare. Most of the guys look like Kevin Owens, and if you don't look like a superstar, you shouldn't be called one. Okay, and Kevin Owens is the best example of that, because he really, everything from the ring gear to I don't even like the way he wrestles, and I don't like his promo style. People
Wow.
I don't know what's happened to the fans.
Wow.
That the fans are actually saying, wow, he cuts a good promo. It's like, hey, do you guys know a guy by the name of The Rock?
Well,
You guys know a guy by the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin? You're saying that this guy is good at doing promos and he's good in the ring. What have you been watching? So, and that goes for, man, I mean, you guys got me off on this is going to be bad, man. But, all of those guys, man, you tell me how many guys on that roster look like somebody that if you were out anywhere, that you would do a double take and go, holy, that's got to be, he ain't no 9-to-5 worker.
Randy, how about you with Marco Stunt or some of these other guys? Any take on the guy who may look like the guy who dropped your milk off this morning at the stair in front of the house?
It's. I hate to sound like an old school guy, okay? Because I appreciate the athleticism that these guys have nowadays, okay?
Sure.
We talk about bodies of Kevin Owens and that, and man, I am totally on board with that. Totally on board with it. But back in my day, you saw a lot of that. I mean, Dusty Rhodes wasn't necessarily muscled up, okay? Or Ron Bass or any of the other guys like that.
Sure.
But now the women are all fitness models, okay? And they do a lot of gymnastic stuff in that. But I just miss some of the old wrestling. I know mat wrestling is boring to the new crowd because they want to see the glitz and the glamour, and they want to see all the monkey spots, going through tables and everything else, and kicking out of everybody's finisher at 2 if there are any finishers anymore. It just. It's almost an embarrassment, some of the guys, because there's a lot of indie guys out there, and Motch will tell you, that are sitting in the wings just waiting for a chance or an opportunity that deserve it. And
But Randy,
whether it be politics or whatever else, they never get it.
Randy, I'd like to disagree with you on this. I would rather see Mandy Rose wrestle than Leilani Kai. I'm sorry. You can't convince me anything different on that one.
Yep.
I know. I know you're a Nyla Jax type of guy, right?
No, I am not. Don't you dare.
She's not like most girls.
She's not like most girls.
Oy.
Motch, is there an Elizabeth in Macho Man's life?
Oh.
Ooh, good question, man. I like that. Is there a Miss Elizabeth? No, but I am taking applications.
Nice.
I wish, man. I wish I could find somebody as classy and as beautiful. And the thing is that I live in Las Vegas, you know what I'm saying? And there ain't too many, people in Las Vegas ain't gonna like what I'm saying. There ain't too many classy, beautiful women. If they're beautiful, they're either stripping or escorts, or they perform in some kind of a show that's, like an honest show, but then they got that mentality that they're superstars.
Oh, boy.
How often do women just want to have sex with you so they could say they had sex with Macho Man Randy Savage?
What?
Not often enough.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. You know what? A lot of times they'll know who it is, who I am, who I'm portraying, because it's like everybody knows Macho Man. I've gone out like this in public, just, running errands and stuff like that, and there's not anybody who doesn't react to it.
Sure.
There's not anybody who, who says, "Ooh, yeah," or Slim Jim or something. And even girls, I mean, you'll hear the same thing from girls. Oh, when I was a kid, I used to watch wrestling with my dad. I know who you are. But I don't know necessarily if there's any, or at least I haven't met any that, see me in gimmick like this and say, oh, he's hot. I remember Macho Man, and, I always, had a crush on him, or, it's not like I'm, Brad Pitt or something. I don't know why everybody uses that example, but, or, in wrestling terms, Shawn Michaels, when he was the Heartbreak Kid, man, I think any chick that knew wrestling would have wanted to sleep with him. You know what I mean? But I don't think anybody was ever looking at Macho Man as like a sex symbol,
Right.
You might be right.
Right.
Maybe,
you know what?
They liked my hair.
Not to make it a twofer, but I'm not sure that Hogan was exactly considered a sexual thing either.
Well, so we've realized now that Hogan and Macho Man are not sexual eye candy. Okay, understood.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do, brother?
Gonna do?
What
You
you
know,
gonna
let
do,
me tell you
man?
one thing. When I first started out, I wrestled just a little indie show with Rocky Johnson. And we were just talking trash in the locker room stuff. And we were talking about payoffs because at this time I think I was making maybe $20, $25 a night. And he said, that's every young guy's dream. 6-pack, a ring rat, and a $25 payoff.
Hey, Motch, we've had Lanny Poffo in the studio quite a few times. Good friend of the show. Do you have any sort of relationship with Lanny? And if so, has he thanked you for keeping his brother's memory alive?
He told me that he's not doing much traveling these days, and he's just kind of like laying low. And he never put me over himself, you know what I mean? But I hear from people that he's put me over to them, and he was nice to me. He was cool with me, but he never like really mentioned anything about, what he thought of what I do.
Motch, I gotta know, brother. I gotta know, what do you think about Mega Power 2.0, baby? Somebody's gonna be smart enough to put this together out there. What do you think? Are you with me? Are we gonna have Renomaniacs, Macho Maniacs running wild all over the world, all over the stratosphere? Again, brother, what you gonna do?
You talking about doing continuous back-to-back appearances everywhere around the world?
All over the stratosphere, brother.
I got one
Blow
way
the
to
roof
answer
off
that.
it.
One way to answer that. Shake my hand.
I got you, brother. I got you, brother. Yeah.